my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today's video is sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms. And I've got to give a big shout out to the Arcane Avenger from 1307 who sent me this footage of their zeroing a player who appeared out of thin air. Apparently, they had played maybe in KVK Season 1, quit the game. They're 134 million power, and 1307 is literally in the middle of a huge migration right now. And I guess this player just like logged back in and was messing with the migration because that's a huge amount of power to have on the board. Now, whether or not you agree with zeroing a player that you don't expect to be in your kingdom who has literally only 1 million kill points, like ultra deadweight, this is what's happening, and I'll give a little more of that story, and I'll show you my conversation with Arcane Avenger, who explained the situation. But first, let's just appreciate what's going on. The player started at 134 million power. They have Richard and Esong on the wall, and this is 2 Attila Takeda rallies, chewing them down. Now, I think if you're just going for the maximum number of dead troops, that double Attila Takeda is fine. But as a reminder, a huge part of what Attila Takeda brings is counterattack damage. And if you're not being directly attacked, you're not doing counterattack damage. So a huge portion of the damage that is dealt by that second rally is not happening because they're not being directly attacked by the city. They're only getting counterattack damage from the city, and the rally doesn't have an opportunity to do counterattack damage back. So all that to say, maybe you could have picked a second rally to choose here that's different than Attila Takeda, but I think it's honestly completely fine. Their goal here is just to grind out as many troops as they can, and the amount of power loss this player is going to get because they have a Richard on the wall is going to be pretty astonishing here. Richard is bad for defending your city, just as a public service announcement. I know many of you know this, but he is healing troops and bringing them back into the fight, only to then get killed, even though the hospital has already been overflowed. And this player's not online. They just, like, logged in, I guess. I don't know. They decided to log into the game. They had never even done much in KVK Season 1. And then here they are getting zeroed. Again, this is not me expressing a position or whether this is right or wrong. It's just me observing this happening and going, wow, this is a player with a lot of power who put a lot into the game. And that power is going to get dropped all the way down to, like, 54 million power. Look at this. They lost 30 million power from that one double rally. 30 million power. Well, that's pretty much insane. Let's look at the reports and make sure that I am taking all of that in correctly. 30 million power? Is that right? I got to see those numbers. Okay, here's my conversation with Arcane Avenger from 1307. He had this before we started rallying him. I guess it's more than 1 million kill points. It looks like he's got 48 million kill points. I mean, that's still like nothing, meaning he must have played KVK Season 1 and seemingly quit Rock before the kill point system was even introduced, hence why it was displaying here as 0. Oh, so in the video it was showing like 1 million kill points, but I guess he had gotten that over the course of him being rallied. Like, this must be a very old account, actually, to have accumulated these kills, but to have no kill points. I think that's what they're saying here, perhaps. And then here's the city, 134 million at the start. This is what they saw when it just showed up. Rally number 1 of SN and AVG. Report and stats are shown in the footage I sent you. So here is number 1. If we get a look at this one, 367,000, and that's 1 million dead. Presumably that's mostly T5s. And then the second report, oh my God. Second report is, oh wow. Yeah, here it is, man. Here it is. 662,000 deads for the rally. 2.5 million dead for the garrison. That is a Richard and Esong. Jeez. Rally number 2 comes in. And here is the Attila Takeda off to the side. 147,000 to 1.08 million dead. That's 8 million power loss for the city. Oh my God. Mega yikes. Wait, that's Attila Nevsky, man. Wait, was that not double Attila Takeda? First one was double Attila Takeda, but then the second time they pop in an Attila Nevsky. Okay. There's Attila Nevsky followed by rally number 3. Okay, so they double rallied the first time. Then they Attila Nevsky the second time. And they Attila Nevsky the third time as well. That's less than 100,000, 98.7 to 852,000 dead for the city. That's 5.9 million power loss. I get this point. At this point, they're like, we don't need to double rally this thing. Rally number 4, 60,000 dead to 572,000 dead. I'm rounding up very slightly. 3.7 million power loss. They only have 2.3 million troops in the city at this point, which is why at that point they start swarming. So that is absolutely insane. Let's go in-game and look at some of these reports. I want to peep at some of the stats. All right, here we've got access to the report in-game, which means we can look at the troop buffs. And this is an expertise Richard I and Esong. So those were expertise commanders, but no museum buff here on Esong. I think you would see a museum buff in here. So that's missing from the report. They don't even have the museum buff, man. Oh my God, have they even built their museum? What a GG. So the infantry attack is 100 for the garrison, 130 defense. I mean, they're not an alliance. So like they're missing so many stats here. Less than 50% infantry health. Jesus, man. I mean, they are just done. 80% cav attack, so low. This is just so low. No iconics. 0 on the garrison. All damage of 5% here. We're going to look at the rally stats really quickly. And let's look here. 226.5 on the cav attack. 136.5 on the defense. And 116.5 on the health. Remember, they are outside of KVK. So there's a few, holy sites that and buffs you would expect to have from KVK that you're not going to have here. There's no KVK technology, I think. Yeah, no, I think they were mid-migration, so KVK is completely shut down at this point, as I understand, for them. So yeah, I mean, this is just absolutely brutal. You can see they've got 11% all damage here. Wow. And then look at the troop breakdown in the city. 2.6 million T5 infantry, 1.2 million T4 infantry, 370,000 T5 siege, 1.46 million T5 archers, 1.9 million T5 cavalry, 201,000 T4 siege, 896,000 T4 archers, 695,000 T4 cavalry, and then a bunch of low-tier siege units. Jesus, man. 725,000 tier 1 siege is so cringe. That's so freaking cringe. And all these other T1s, I mean, 267,000 T1 cavalry is also ultra cringe. That's just a disaster. A complete disaster. So my understanding is that you can see these T1 units like fill up the hospital really, really fast. I mean, you just don't want to have any of these T1 units in your hospital compared to having a T5 unit. That's the real issue here. And although tier 1 siege, you have 50,000 space for those. So having 50,000 tier 1 siege is good. You should do that. Anything more than that on your T1s is just, I mean, you got to know what you're doing specifically for Ark of Osiris to really justify doing that. Now, I actually wish I had a read on their total resources before they got looted here. I would be very curious what that number might have been, but this is pretty brutal. So what's the moral of the story here? And I don't know how this player would have known this, but if you come back to the game, or if you quit the game now, maybe that's a better way to frame this up, and you then come back to the game, right? You need to touch base with the kingdom that you're now in and make sure they know who you are and you're on the radar. Like, this dude logged in, timing was tragic. It's like mid-migration, and who knows what they were thinking, just randomly logging in. I mean, it's, sometimes you just want to see the game that you would invest a bunch of time and energy into, and money in this case. But maybe I'll have to message them and see if they'll give me a response as to, like, just like where their head's at after this happened. Total disaster. If you have any other thoughts, definitely let me know down below in the comments. If we look at 1307 here, we can see if they're back in Imperium now. Yeah, 1307. They're in the off-season kingdoms list. So, I mean, God, they must have literally been in the middle of their migration, and that shows up. They're back in Imperium now. That's brutal, man. That's so brutal. If you enjoyed the video, throw a like on here. subscribe to the channel. Just as a public service announcement, I'm going to be traveling a little bit later this week, but I'm going to have a rig with me so I can still create some content while I'm traveling. So we've got some live streams coming up that are going to be really freaking hype that are still going to happen. We've got a Kingsland fight coming up very soon on my Restart account. That should be really fun. It's the very first Kingsland fight for Nile KVK, and everybody's like really been ready for this fight and amped up for it. So you're not going to want to miss that. It's either going to be the 17th or the 18th. I'm going to be live streaming that. Sargon is coming in game, and obviously there's a lot going on with Sargon that we've got to talk about. That'll come really soon. But that live stream is going to happen as soon as Sargon lands in game. We're going to be doing some testing, so you're not going to want to miss that. Subscribe if you haven't already. And who knows when the formation system is actually going to show up. I've heard rumor that maybe it's on the 20th that we'll be getting that in all kingdoms. But, I mean, I've heard lots of rumors about a lot of things. So we'll see if that pans out. But if that does happen, I will stream it as soon as it happens. So there is a lot to be hyped about. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies.